Good morning, Nigerians, our teaming viewers. You are still on This Morning on ITV, your program and station of choice. And you know, ITV is certainly the best. We're cruising this morning on the altitude of nationalism and you, that program that beckons on you to be a helpful partaker in nation building and reconstruction agenda. I remain your host, Ebenezer Oyetakin, and we will be examining a topic that deals with desperation for power and other factors that negate free, fair, and credible election in Nigeria. In the process of getting our electoral processes and way of appointing or electing our leaders right. And with me to examine this issue this morning is a socio-political analyst and, again, the publicity secretary of APC, Federal Capital Territory. His name is Mr. Adaji Usman.
Good day.
Mr. Adaji Usman, nationalism and you.
It is my responsibility and duty to build this nation.
You are very welcome to our studio. And secondly, to equally examine this topic with us this morning, we are having on seat someone who qualifies as an elder statesman, a patriot, a nationalist. He is Chief Edozie Ezugwa, the President General, Eastern Union Congress, and a political analyst. Chief, nationalism and you.
It is my duty and responsibility to join the rest of Nigeria to build a very strong nation, which we'll be proud of.
Thank you very much. And there at home, please do what you see us doing here. It is a national spirit, creating a new national consciousness that if you don't do it, let it be as if nobody else will do it. That is the way to go.
That is it.
22 years of our democracy. We are still battling with power desperations, electoral violences that can be attributable to desperations for power, even at primaries level. Let me start with you, Chief.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Nigerians. It's an opportunity to be on your platform today, where we have to say the facts, recall the past, where we started getting it wrong till today. I will say that the incursion of the military into the governance created a lot of problems, distortions within our political process. You know, in those days, late 70s, when our military leader then under Gowon was saying that Nigeria do not know what to do with money, that they have a problem of spending. We are playing the role of big brothers to the rest of other, neighbors, West Africans and African as a whole. We dose out fund helps here and there, but we have now occurred to us that we have not started to build lay good foundation. The good foundation laid by the founding fathers of this nation, we are distorted. Everything started getting it wrong during the military. That was not there. Because I believe that in those days, our founding fathers, we are there just to serve and not to, grabs and continue to maintain dictatorial tendencies and remain on the governance, demonstrating affluence, powers here and there. And that is exactly what the military brought into the governance. The military created a lot of problems that those who were with them during the period who were agents, the bloody civilians, who are liaising with them, try to create a kind of situation that they can as well continue without, handing over because of what they are grabbing. So these material things come first. That eventually when we, as a result of June 12th, push them out of the system, of the governance, their remnants still remains. They fought seriously to make sure that they hand over to the one of theirs, because then I will still, blame the civil, society movements, because one way or the other they abandoned what they're supposed to, because after fighting and getting the democracy to be on board, you're supposed to muster the spirit and the strength to guide, because you know that they will never give up like that. But they came, and those remnants that work with them, partner with them, came and hijacked the process. And that process, they started creating that spirit of, yes, not to serve. We are there, we have come to stay. And whether you like it or not, culture of impunity goes on. And they didn't even think about people who give you the power. Nobody ever begin to nurture idea that the power flows from the people to the leaders. Because if you realize that this power, you drive it from the people, you wouldn't have been behaving the way with this impunity that you are going to return back to the people to seek from the power. Because when you look at it, the recruitment process of our leaders into the present system, if it's something that has not been, hijacked by those cliques and cabals, if people are allowed to elect who is going to be their leader, who they trust, I don't think this nation will be in this way. Because there's no internal democracy within the party system, within the political process. And that is what everybody is witnessing.
Chief, Mr. Adajib, your comment.
Well, I listened calmly and quietly to Chief's submission. But I would want to say that when you begin to, first and foremost, blame the military inclusion in politics from the one, right from inception till date, we may not be doing ourselves any good, because first and foremost, 22 years down the line, a child of 23 years, of course, would have graduated from the university by now. So it means that the inclusion of military way back, of course, that would have faded away if we had done what is expected of us. First and foremost, I want to take it from our attitude. The attitudinal problem is the major problem associated with this desperation. Why? Because often at times, people see politics as a place where you go to make a living, not a place where you go to serve. Now, once you have that inherent in you, you have failed even before you start. A lot of persons comes out there because of lack of job, because of lack of means of survival, because of lack of what to do. Once they make little resources from somewhere, what they do, particularly the people who are very much involved in businesses. Now, those in business do not have a business in politics because they do not even know what it takes to play this game called politics. So that when they find themselves in politics, bringing in their wealth, bringing in their resources into politics, they pollute the whole environment. And how do they do it? What they do is they come in here and then begin to throw 1 kobo, 2 kobo around, because very few of them makes this money. A lot of Nigerians do not have means of livelihood as it stands today. So when they see somebody who comes out to drop 1 naira, 2 naira, all they do is to go ahead and then begin to see how they can muster support for such a person without bothering whether or not it has what the man or the person involved has what it takes to go into governance and then deliver the dividends of democracy to the people. More so, I would want to look at it this way. Talking about what the founding fathers left behind for us, for me, I have been of this very opinion that to a very large extent, the founding fathers were not even fair to us, in my little opinion. In my opinion, because way back, you will agree with me that the issue of regional system of government was what they started with, under the umbrella of one Nigeria. I begin to look at it that you cannot have a one Nigeria when you have 3 arms, 3 different sections, in one country, automatically there is a dent, automatically there is a mark, automatically you have divided the country into 1, 2, 3 sections. The western, the northern, the eastern, as the case may be. Now, where the western country begin to look at it, that yes, this is what we are very much interested in, is education. We need to ensure that our people have education. If the issue of education, economy, and politics were anything to go by, and the founding fathers themselves were able to come together and say, look, what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. If education should suffice in the west, let it also suffice in the north, let it also happen in the south. Automatically, every part of this country would have seen education as part and parcel of the region. And economy would have been the same thing. Politics would have been the same thing. But the situation where one part of the country took politics, another part saw economy as their birthright, another part saw, what do we call it? What do you call it now? Education as their birthright. Now, there was a very clear and distinct division within the regions. Now, coming to this point, you begin to see certain persons being desperate to say, look, I want to take power from these people. Why will they not hold power for this long? It is our time to have this power. We must go and fight for this power. And the Lord is telling you, no, this power is ours. Way back, you were bothered about economy. You were more bothered about education. We were bothered about politics. So it is our birthright. We need to hold to it. So looking at this, you begin to see every part of the regions scrambling and trying to see that politics is juicy. Politics is money-making. Politics is all about acquiring so much wealth and mass wealth for yourself. So let us also find ourselves in there. That comes the desperation you see here and there. Finally, let me also add this quickly. Sometimes in 1999, those who were supposed to be at the forefront of politics, of democracy, failed to do so. We failed from that point, where we felt that the military, are they really going? Will they leave? Are they not playing pranks? So certain persons who have no business completely with politics took over the activities of politics, and they have refused to let go ever since then. Those who are expected or who are supposed to be in the game realize a little later that no, we failed from the beginning, so let's get it right. Getting power from the mediocres, getting power from those who are not expected to be in the corridor of power now becomes very difficult. Now you are fighting for it, I am looking for it, we want to make corrections, the right people want to put square peg in square hole. And it's not that easy because they have so much wealth, so much political connections, and everything that comes with it. So looking at it this way, you will agree with me that as it stands here today, we got it right from 1999 by even the civilians themselves, the politicians themselves, especially those who are professionals in various fields of endeavors. How will you feel today that people who have not seen the four walls of a classroom today making laws for medical doctors, making laws for lawyers, making laws for professionals in different fields of endeavors, laws that has to do with them. Meanwhile, they know little or nothing about those laws they are making because they have already gotten this power and they're holding to it and they are using it to lead the people, just like a case of a one-eyed man leading people with two eyes. So that is where we are. That is why you are seeing the desperation. Let's get it right. That is the question. And getting it right means you need to struggle. Fight.
Let us let us rephrase the two issues that were raised by you both. The issues of the military.
Yeah.
Many Nigerians thought that the civilians politicians hardly learned lessons and are not growing the way they ought to grow. It didn't start from today, even from the period you referred to, the founding fathers period and the rest of it. They felt that the excesses of civilian politicians in aspirations for powers, some of which lead to wild west of a thing at that period and that kind of a thing, was the reasons why the military came. And some people, even as of 2 months ago, are still saying that if the military had not intervened, the civilian politician would have broken up these countries by their excesses because they don't know where to draw the line. I am coming to you. I want Chief to address that issues. Then, on your own issues that you raised, many people also felt that the federating unit of regions made for competitiveness and the growth were speedy at that time and that kind of a thing. You will speak about that. Let's take Chief.
All right.
Thank you so much. Yes, the excesses of the politicians themselves. Yes, we quite, know quite all right that right from during the period of First Republic, their behavioral systems and the rest of them, the desperation to grab power and remains there, is there, but not to compare with what is happening today. That is this particular period now. You can agree with me that there is no internal democracy within the political party. If you look at the process, even these their primaries, you go to, take for instance, in my state, Anambra State, where a few days ago we'll be going for elections, all the major political parties are still in the court. Some of them have even gone as far as military spring court, are there. And nobody will accept. Because this desperation, power, to grab it, by all means. What pains me a lot is that it's not a question of having the power itself, but what to do with it. Some of them do not even have ideas. They believe that they can only use the people, get there, then we will now begin to dictate what we want to do. On the process, unless the electoral umpire, being INEC, and the government, if they can free themselves, look at all the deformation of the political parties. Yesterday, day before yesterday, when we are hearing from the National Assembly that they are going to return back to the
electronic transmission.
No, not the electronic. Option A4.
Okay.
Direct primaries and all those distance. And you can see so many politicians are kicking against it, reacting seriously. You know what happened during this SDP and NRCO during the MK Abiola zone? It was one of the free and fair election in the political history of this nation. Everybody can testify that. But most all these politicians, they do not like a situation where they will have problem, hiccup of people being, facing them to challenge them, what they want to do. They believe that they are cabals. And whether you like it or not, no political party from APC, PDP, the last one, they always have cliques that determines what happened to the rest of the, the process. During the Shagari era, there's still some kind of distance between, the party itself and individual, because then the party was supreme. You can see whether you are a president, whether you are the Senate president, whether you are this or that, you must toe the line of the party distance. But these days, those in the government dictate what happens in the political parties. And that is why, whenever everybody, will be saying, look, at the expiration of your tenure, 4 years, I must get there. When you get there like this, then that to show those cabal that, prepare the ground for you to be there, and they will remain, and they will close down to other places. No question of being there, but were you able, to listen to the party line? No, they dictate. Were you able to listen to the people who vote you to the power? No. You see, this politics, this democracy, we, the people outside there, must be able to at all times be on our feet to challenge some of the unpopular policies of government, challenge the government on certain issues, and put pressure on them to enable them move towards the proper channel that we would like. For instance, this electronic transmission issues. If Nigeria has not been very firm on that, demanding for it, they wouldn't have reversed it by today. They would have improved it in such a way that at the end of the day, they will find a way of circumventing the process and return themselves to the power. So the excesses of the politicians is one of the major problems. And the only way to eliminate this is for the government themselves, with the INEC, their umpire, to look at the formation of the parties and their constitutions, and look at the process of recruiting members that is going to be our leader, and see how they can, separate dominance of some few cabals taking decisions. Because if you allow the situation, like for instance in the United States, if you allow the situation where people, ordinary people, will be given the opportunity to say, look, they may say, I'm not going to vote for you, this is my vote, from the beginning, then the politicians themselves will now know that you are going to face a very serious challenges, that you cannot just by any means, because you have no money, because you are doling out money to the party, and that because of that you can now grab the whole distance and determine what happened. Because if you look at what is happening today, those who are in the business environment, those who one way or the other who have not been involved in the political distance, now came in and hijacked the process. Whether you like it or not, they will be there and determine what happens.
Let us take Mr. Adaji Usman response.
Well, for me, I want to agree with Chief to an extent. I want to say that corruption is not also all about finances, all about stealing money. What is happening today is what we call political corruption. Political corruption in the sense that there are no political ideologies. When Chief talks about INEC being on top of the game, doing what is saddled, doling out its responsibility. Yes, INEC is an independent body, so to speak, but are they truly independent? That is where the question comes. The question now is, when you look at political ideology, for instance, a political party comes up with a manifesto and said, what we need to do if we get into power is A, B, C, D, E, F. Such political party, especially if it does not have the people Chief refers to just a while ago as the cabals, those who have the money, those who have the political will, who have the wherewithal. If such persons are not in that political party, the political party will not see the light of day. And once these people begin to move from wherever they are into such party, fuse into that party, they hijack the party. Once they hijack the party, the manifesto of that party is as good as dead ab initio. That means the programs of that party, the manifesto of that party, whatever it is that the party stands for, dies instantly because they are coming with a different mindset altogether. And they have the resources, they have what it takes to put these people in. Let me refer you back a little. Omololu Oluloye, one former governor of Oyo State, Oluloye in those days, once said to Awolowo and said, look, you will not be elected. He said, that is the fact. You are not going to be voted into power. Reasons are that Nigerians don't want sincere people. That is way back, as far back as that. He said they don't want sincere people. That commercial banks closes at 4 o'clock, but they stay up to 6, 7 p.m. to balance their account. CBN does not balance its account. But if you come in, you would want CBN to stay and make sure that the account balance before they go. And Nigeria doesn't want that. They want the bank open. They want people to steal. They want to see money. Now, if you come in today, I put it to you, sir, that today, if you are elected the president of this country today, and then what you know is, look, let there be square peg in square hole. The next moment, every Nigerian will want to get you out. Why? Because all the Nigerians can understand. In fact, build golden roads from here to Lagos, from here to Ondo, from here to the east, and no. So long as money is not there to be thrown around for people to make money, pick money from the street, plug money from trees, and so on, and enjoy themselves sleeping in the in the comforts of their room, without really to strive, without having to struggle to make this money, they are not comfortable with you. You are not a good governor. You are not a good president. Now that is where we get it wrong. Today, I can say it without sit-downs that if you go back to your community today, as a good man that you are, wants to make things right, want to bring dividends of democracy to your people, if you don't have the financial muscles, the people know who you are. They have seen you grow up. They understand your kind of person. They know what you can do if you are given the opportunity. But once the financial muscle is not there, they won't vote for you. That is us. So the problem is not about those who are in government. It's about those of us who want to elect people. That is why I want to disagree with Chief when he said, if we allow us to vote the right people into power, how do we vote the right people into power when those who are meant to vote the people also go out to sell their votes? So desperation now, if in a community there are 5-6 persons who are money bags, just that few as that number in that community, all of them knows that because they are the money bags, they have the opportunity of getting into government and then staying over these people, lock themselves over these people. The 6 of them begin to buy funds because they have the resources to buy funds. Now, if you look at their character, if you look at their attitude, it is not anywhere close to the right person to be voted. But meanwhile, out of these 5, you can hardly get one good person. But meanwhile, there are 1 or 2 good persons out there who do not have the resources to go out there and compete with them favorably in such elections to be voted. So all he does is he stays in his corner and manage his little resources with his family and allow those who have the resources to go out there. And those of us who are electorate jumps out, give all our support to them, vote them in at the supply of just Gary, a cup of Gary and a few Maggies. And then we vote them in and we begin to come back to complain that we have had these people in. So for me, way back, we got it wrong, like I said from the very beginning, from 1999. If we have gotten it right when the military came to hand over power to us, if the right people got this power, if the right man, the right woman went into politics at that time, the professionals who, of course, if I am a lawyer, for instance, and I am in the National Assembly, I, of course, know what it means to legislate with issues with regards to the judiciary in this country. But an engineer, of course, will be a misplaced priority if he goes there to begin to legislate on issues that has to do with the enforcement of law or the legal issues that has to do with this country. That is where we begin to have square pegs in round hole. So we lost it at that time where those who are expected to be there failed to come in. So in my little opinion, going forward, I think it is not late. I have always said it time without number, that whenever you wake up is your morning. If Nigerians have agreed to wake up, the issue of, look, let us allow powers to go back to the youth, let us bring in the youth. The question here is this. In this organization, if you invite all the youths there today and begin to talk to them about good governance, on how to ensure that good governance is brought to the front burner, if money is not attached, by the time you go 30 minutes into that program, you will see if there were 100, only 30 or 20 will be left in that hall. All of them would have left that place. Nobody is ready to sit down and listen to how this country can be properly planned and managed. That is where we begin to get
nation building is a very serious business.
Yes.
That's needed to be pursued with greater degrees of vigor and ardency.
Yes.
Going forward, 2023 is behind the corner.
Yes.
What are some of the factors that we can identify that are detrimental to the flourishing of our democracy, free, fair, and credible elections? What are some of those factors that we can identify so that we know how to tame them? Please, yes, Chief.
Thank you so much. I want to, in a little bit, agree from what my brother have said there, in terms of the electorate, the people themselves, and the government. Yeah. And I believe there's one program in those days, during the time of IBB, you know, where Jerry Ghana was the director, the Mansa and the rest of them. Yes, and
mobilization.
You can see the wonderful work that man has done, the Professor Jerry Ghana, on that aspect. It appears to me that the National Orientation Agency is not, they are not, waking up or, coming out to do what they're supposed to do. No matter the way you look at it, these are the people who convey the message of the government to the people at the rural areas. These are the people who you can see, look, I regard them as opinion molders, builders on certain aspects. This issue you have raised about modern youth these days, that they tend to be very, very attached to the, monetary things and the rest of them. If government is coming out with the very sound policies, it is the responsibilities of the National Orientation Agency to drive this and down to the grassroots and start building it up for Nigerians, to the people, for us to begin to think along the line with the government. But these days, we don't see them anywhere. And where the state itself, not only at the national level, where the state itself is supposed to play the role, the state are not playing the role. They are more or less playing politics. The politics of the national government and what you can drive allocations and the rest of them coming down to, say it. We are talking about this corruption issue. Corruption right from the local government to the state and the national. When you see a chairman of the local government, you have heard about the 50 special assistants and aides attached to them. And each and every one of them has their own, this is the maintain again. See, when you now, there's some little fund that can come, you can see that at the end of the day, they will not see any visible things.
That is what I call evidence of democracy.
That is their own dividends of democracy.
And then even to the states, where governors can have up to 1,000 or something more than that, especially this assistants and the rest of them, just to accommodate some certain set of people. But he discovered that, no matter the way you look at it, we got it wrong. I agree with you. Right from that 1999, you understand? We didn't, free it up well. We didn't build up a kind of foundation that we can now leverage on and begin to, build another system. Quite all right. Well, there's, like you've mentioned, that there's nothing that we cannot with the time.
It is not too late.
It's not too late.
Whenever Mr. Adaji Usman, please.
Whenever you wake up, it's your money.
Your take on that?
Well, my take is that free, fair, credible election. That is all we're clamoring for. Easier said than done. It is my belief, it is my wish, it is my sincere hope that we'll begin to see politics, first and foremost internally, coming on a free, fair basis. But how do we get that done? We have to return back and examine ourselves, our attitude, our interest. We must first and foremost take Nigeria first. Nigeria. We must look at Nigeria as the father of everyone. How do we do that? If I'm going into contest, and I see Chief coming into the same contest as my brother, jokingly when we came in here, I was standing and I said, and the elder has to sit down first before I sit. That is how we grew up.
Thank you.
Now, if today we begin to see ourselves as brothers and sisters, there will be no rancor.
Exactly.
If those of us in the same political party begin to see ourselves pursuing the same interest, the same goal, there will be no rancor. Because what is it? If I get the ticket, I'm going to pursue the goal and aspiration of the party, the agenda of the party, the program of the party. That is what I'm going to pursue. If he gets it, he's going to do the same thing. But that is not the case here now. Way back in 1979, everybody knows the program and ideology of NPN.
Yes.
The UNPP, the UPN we know, the PRP we know. So we know these programs. So once a particular political party comes on board, you know their programs. It's straight off. So you are not coming as an individual to draw your own programs, to run your own program. You are running the program of the party. When you fail to run the program of that party, the party will first and foremost begin to ask you questions. Not even the opposition. It is that party. Because they have a program, you flew their flag. And that is what brought you there. So internally, for us to have a free, fair, and credible election, we must return back to the ideology of the political parties, to the manifesto of the political party. We must begin to send people, let the party sit down and say, look, it is not about contest. It's about you because you are credible, because you can drive our program. Since you can drive our program, let all of us give you that support. Whether you are financially buoyant or otherwise, we will give you the support. Go there and prove to the nation that this party has a good program for the nation. Once we begin to do that, they will be free, they will be fair and clear, because whoever is not qualified knows he is not qualified. He won't even dare into coming into the programs. But as it stands today, once a man, a criminal, I'm sorry to use this word, who had gone, has been jailed. As soon as he's coming out and he has the financial muscles, he comes into politics and will begin to sing praises of that person. We give him all the support. And so what do you expect of that person? He comes and steals more. You can't expect anything good coming from that person. So we need to go back internally and begin to address our internal political programs.
Political desperations, and the occasioned unchecked, unchecked maneuverings that in the system tends to be overheating political environment in such a way that it ultimately snowballs into electoral violences, in which people are killed because they want to come and vote, and the rest of it, that kind of a thing. Have we gotten a mechanism that punishes electoral violence and deals with people who ignite through their desperations such violence and the rest of it? Have we had enough deterrence?
But those are the things I called political corruption. If you begin to deal with such people, how do you get to use them tomorrow? Those who are expected, who are supposed to do that, are also involved. You can't be a judge in your own case. A situation whereby I get into nationalism.
But national interest should spur us to go all out.
That is why we said our attitude. Let us readdress our attitude. Let us look at Nigeria as the bigger brother, as the father, as an umbrella. Until we do that, we can't get it right. Nobody bothers. A lot of us who are in politics don't bother about the country called Nigeria. We bother about what we are able to make out of Nigeria. We are bothered about what we are able to make from those offices we want to occupy. We are not bothered about how do we make that office better the general interests of the country and Nigerians. That is the problem.
Chief, how do we go from here?
Well, I did mention before one of my discussion now that the National Orientation Agency have failed to a certain extent to do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's not a question of aspiring to be in certain positions, and we are given opportunity to sit down, like ideas, and we do not step out of our comfort zone to consult. If you are the one there, if there are certain things you do not know, look at the people who have been there before. Somebody like that, Jerry Ghana, you reach out to him. There's a way you can build up. What we are talking about, or what we are looking up, is how this country is going to remain peaceful and progressive.
Yeah.
But it does appear that these days, those you find in the position of authority is just to sit at the comfort of their offices and be looking at the allocation that comes in and all those kind of things. They don't step out extra miles to go and see how they can propagate the government programs and help the government to build up certain things. So I feel that we can as well begin to look at that side well. And
political sensitization.
Yes, mobilization. And begin to have a dialogue, not only with the leadership at the zonal or the regional or the state level. We must bring all the stakeholders into the governance, and they begin to dialogue from time to time. And
very well. If we decided to continue with this program, we cannot stop because there is a lot to talk about, and we do not have that time. So, Mr. Adaji, your last word.
Well, what I want to say is that we do not have any other country to call ours. Nigeria is our country. There was this young man who was to jet out of the country sometimes back. During the war against indiscipline, said he wants to check out. I said, look, let's stay here and
do it too.
We can make this country better. We can make this country good. We can have good investors. We can make our political environment conducive.
Our elder statesman, your final message to the nation and the people and the government.
I have a very strong hope that the Nigeria will eventually return to the path of peace and good patriotism. And I feel that Nigeria will continue to progress. The government have to, make that to happen. It must have the spirit of building, reaching out, dialoguing. It's not always good to use the option of brutal force.
Thank you very, very much. We have been talking with two gentlemen in the House, Chief Edozie Ezugwa, President General of the Eastern Union Congress and a political analyst. And with him also is Mr. Adaji Usman, Secretary, Publicity Secretary, APC, Federal Capital Territory. It's been wonderful having you in our studio, and we hope when we have time to call upon you again, you will make yourself available to us.
It's nice being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
It's nice to be here. Thank you so much.
Please don't change the channel. The second discussion segment will be coming up moment after this.